story of Yetziat Mitzrayim is full of many, many miracles. Everyone is well aware of the famous staff of Moshe Rabbeinu that he stretched out and caused, all different plagues in Mitzrayim. What not everybody is maybe aware of is there's a question brought up, in fact, how many staffs were used to do the miracles in Mitzrayim? Was it one staff, Moshe's the whole time, and on certain occasions it was given to Aaron to do the miracles? Or was there in fact two staffs used? Did Aaron use his own staff to do some of the miracles? This is discussed, and of course, like most discussions in the Torah, you have two opinions, at least two opinions. The first time that this comes up and is discussed is when Hashem tells Moshe and Aaron to come to Paro and to show him signs. And of course, we know that the staff turns into a snake and then turns back into a staff and eats the other snakes. So over there, the pasuk says that Hashem tells Moshe to tell Aaron to take your staff. Now, it's interesting. You would think that it's a very simple statement. Tell Aaron to take your staff. But in fact, in this statement itself, tell Aaron to take your staff, is a point of argument. The question is, what did Hashem mean when he said to tell Aaron to take your staff? Was he saying, Moshe, tell Aaron to take your staff, meaning Moshe's staff? Or was Moshe to tell Aaron to take his own staff? So the Ibn Ezra, one of the classic commentators on the Chumash, he says that it was really Moshe's staff used in that miracle, just like it was Moshe's staff used later when the water was turned to blood. And the phrase telling Aaron to take your staff means that it was Moshe's staff. Now others, the Abarbanel and the Kli Yakar, mention that really two staffs were used. And how did that work out? Sometimes Moshe Rabbeinu used his own staff and even gave Aaron his staff, but in this particular case, the case where they went before Paro, it was Aaron's staff that was used. And so the phrase would be understood, take your staff, meaning Aaron, take your own staff and turn it into a snake. And so here is an interesting discussion. Now, in all confusing matters, when there's an ambiguity and there's an argument of what the simple meaning of the text is, we always look to the classic commentator Rashi to help us. So if we go to see what he has to say, perhaps he'll shed some light on the matter. So when you look in Rashi's commentary on this verse, what does Rashi say? If you all look, nothing. He's quiet. And that's a problem, because if Rashi is there to guide us through the ambiguity of the text and to help us not get lost and come up with the wrong pshat, so why here, when there's this level of confusion and an argument amongst the rabbis, why doesn't Rashi at least help us to understand, in his opinion, what the proper pshat is? Now, there is a famous commentator that was in our times most recently, the Lubavitch Rabbi, who passed away not too long ago, who has a series of lectures that he gave out, discourses, where he does in-depth analysis on the different Rashi's comments throughout the Chumash. And he picks also this topic to discuss, and it's interesting, usually he's analyzing what Rashi does say, but over here we're going to try to figure out what Rashi means from what he doesn't say. And it just shows you how deep and how much analysis goes into studying this classic commentary and how much we have to pay attention to every word that he writes. It's a very important commentary. Of course, we know there's no Chumash printed without it, Kimat. So let's appreciate and understand this explanation according to what Rashi doesn't say this time. Now, let's put ourselves in the story. What's happening right now? The point that Hashem wants to send Moshe and Aaron to Paro is to show Hashem's great might, to show them that Hashem is king of the world, not the Egyptians and not Paro. So imagine, Moshe and Aaron come before Paro and all of his ministers and sorcerers and everybody's watching, and it comes time for them to show their strength, and Aaron walks up to Moshe and says, Moshe, can you please give me your special powerful staff so I can turn it into a snake? And he does so. Now what happens? Paro calls to the sorcerers and says, hey, sorcerers, they brought sorcery to us. We're the champions of sorcery. Do your thing. And of course, the sorcerers, each one having his own staff, no special staff, comes and throws it on the ground and turns it into a snake. How impressive does that scene look? Impressive? Essentially, what comes out is Aaron needed Moshe's staff to turn into a snake, and all of the other sorcerers were able to turn their own staffs into a snake. So that doesn't look impressive. So the Rabbi explains like this, that if one properly understands the storyline and what the point of this miracle is and why they were sent, then there's no comment necessary. It's obvious that the point is that Aaron has to take his own staff to be at least as equal, or if not greater, than all of the other sorcerers. So in this case, we conclude, according to this analysis, that Rashi will maintain that Aaron took his own staff and turned it into a snake. And that idea is so simple that any reader reading should understand that it had to be that way, because the other way makes no sense. So Rashi's being quiet over here is an indication of it being so simple, in his opinion, that a statement is not even necessary. Now, this actual discussion takes a little bit of a deeper turn because the Zohar comments on this point as well. On this Parsha Vayera, the Zohar mentions that the staff of Moshe was extremely holy, very, very holy. It came from the higher realms and it was created during Ben Hashmashot, and it had Hashem's special name written on it. And such a holy staff would never be used to swallow up the Egyptian snakes that they turned into from their staffs. So the Zohar maintains that for sure it was Aaron's staff. And this is an important point we have to understand, because people can become confused. If I'm trying to accomplish a good thing, so the only way to accomplish that good thing is to follow Hashem's rules and maintain a level of Kedusha. You cannot bring a stolen sacrifice and then try to offer it up in the Beis HaMikdash. That's terrible. So we have to understand that in this world, with our job in this world, there are rules and there are clear distinctions. There's out of bounds and there's inbounds. You know, you can do the best catch in the world in a football game, but if you land out of bounds, there's nothing to talk about. And so too here, we can have the best intentions. We can want to save the world, but if we're breaking Hashem's simple rules that are recorded in the Torah in order to save that world, then we're not saving, but rather we're destroying. We cannot outsmart Hashem, and we cannot try to mix and match and twist holiness with impurity. Our job in this world is to stay away from impurity, and that's the greater lesson that we understand. Here in this world, representing Hashem and trying to do Hashem's work, we have to know, just like Moshe's staff was too pure and too holy to internalize within it these contaminated snakes from the sorcerers, we too, in doing Hashem's work in this world, have to maintain a level of purity and not internalize the negative elements and things around us and in the environment that we're in. With this idea, we can hopefully strengthen ourselves this coming Pesach, and we will merit to see the ultimate redemption that we were waiting for, and Mashiach Tzidkenu.